there, I am Aida Plontke and I'm very excited today. I have a wonderful guest here with me. She is going to be sharing with us pretty much her life, her career, and encouragement to women. She has accomplished some amazing things. This lady next to me, her name is Kathleen Hilbrandt, and I am excited to share with you, this lady was born to fly. So Kathleen, tell us about this. How did this start?
Well, when I was growing up, my father was born in Valley Stream, Long Island, and at that time Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh were flying, and he was so interested in it, he used to go to the airport every time to watch them fly, and he got me interested in it. But I was born in Far Rockaway, Long Island, but we moved to New Jersey when I was about 2 years old. And there was an airport in Westfield at the time, and we continued to visit the airport over there. And I just was instilled with aviation.
Wow.
Through my father first. And then while I was growing up in high school, in Jackson Grammar School, Amelia Earhart was doing all her
exciting times.
Oh yes, and making records and so forth.
Wow.
And that got me interested even more in aviation. So all through my high school years, I was studying about aviation. And when I graduated, and I worked in the Prudential Insurance Company at the time, I met another girl who was interested in aviation. And we found out about a ground school we could go to learn all about flying before we could even get into an airplane.
That's pretty amazing.
So we studied meteorology, navigation, and all the parts of the airplane and the engines and so forth. And then when we finished the course, our instructor said, well, anytime you're ready to want to learn to fly, come on over to Staten Island Airport in New York.
That's fantastic.
And so the two of us, every weekend, we would go over there, and at that time, working in the Prudential, we only made like $15 a week.
Wow.
So we would take part of our income and only fly a half hour at a time when we went over, because that's all we could afford. So
when you're born to do something, you're born to do something.
That's right.
That's very exciting, and those were different times than today.
Oh, it certainly is, yes.
Very, very different times. So you pretty much, it's exciting to hear you share, because parents are so important. Your father,
Yes.
shared this love that he had with you. And so
Yes.
that's an encouragement to us as parents. We do have a huge, we really are a huge encouragement to our children.
Right.
And that's exciting, because he was a big encouragement. How was it when you were trying to get sort of, going to school? What was the atmosphere around you? Because those were different times than today.
Well, fortunately, when I started flying at Staten Island Airport, when World War II was on in Europe, and also in Japan too, the
Wow.
Pacific Theater and the European Theater were both at the same time, and they closed the East Coast for 50 miles inland for private flying.
Oh my.
So that meant my flying was over, and I was so upset. But the Staten Island Airport moved out to Pennsylvania, 50 miles inland, so that people could continue to fly.
Nice.
So fortunately, in high school, I took the secretarial course, and they needed a girl in the office at Martins Creek Airport, and I jumped at the chance.
The door of opportunity opened and you walked
Yeah.
right through. Very
So
good.
I was out at Martins Creek Airport, and I continued my flying, and part of my salary I got in flying time. So that helped me to
Fantastic.
build up my time
Well, you had great focus.
oh yes.
You had great focus. You had to accomplish that, especially during that time. I mean,
Yes.
there was so much going on.
Well, fortunately, in 1942, Jacqueline Cochran went over to England with 25 American women to help them fly over there. And they were ferrying aircraft and working on aircraft over in England. And then when the war progressed, General Hap Arnold decided to bring Jacqueline Cochran back to the United States. And he says, I want you to do here what you're doing for the girls in Europe. And so,
Fantastic.
and that's when the WASP started.
Oh, fantastic. So WASP, when I was going to interview you, I heard the word WASP. Tell us, what is WASP?
Well, it stands for a Women's Air Force Service Pilot. And Jackie Cochran was the one who named us.
Very exciting.
And she was the director of the training at Sweetwater, Texas, which we had to go through before we could go out into one of the air bases. So, and I heard about her coming back from England when I was at Martins Creek Airport. And so I got an application, and I was accepted.
Oh,
And
exciting.
so I went in 1944, and we flew at Sweetwater, Texas. And after the training, I was stationed at Eagle Pass, Texas, for just a short time, and then the WASP disbanded.
Now tell us about the training. Give us an approximate idea of how many women applied and sort of how was that process and how was the training? Kind of take us with you there.
Well, the class that I was in, 44 W10, was the last class they trained there. Because in 44, the war was starting to wind up,
Oh,
and they were coming back from the war. And we flew half of the day was in ground school, learning more about engines and meteorology and so forth. And the other half of the day was for flying. And our group, which was about, we had about 100 in our group.
Okay.
Half of it was flight 1 and the other half was flight 2. We divided in alphabetically, and one group went in the morning to fly, and the other group was busy ground school, and then for a week like that, and then we reverse it.
Wow, that is fantastic. And you were in your world.
Oh yeah.
That's very exciting.
Oh yes.
Yeah, of course, in the midst of everything going on, because those were difficult times.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for doing that. It is exciting to look back and see what our past, our previous generations, how they opened the doors for us, because we enjoy a whole different type of world and life today thanks to the efforts that ladies like you did for us. You opened the doors for many of us, you know, and you show the world, I'm a woman, look what I can do. Thank you.
The WASP were the first women to fly military airplanes. And then, I think it was in 1979, when they started to have women fly in the service. And they had said at that time, they were saying that those were the first women to fly military airplanes. And then a group of the WASP went to Washington and fought for our rights, because they were supposed to pass a bill to incorporate the WASP into the Air Force. Because while we were flying and training, we were supervised by civil service. So we were paid by civil service. And so a group of the WASP went to Washington, and they got us to become veterans. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And incorporated into the Air Force.
That is fantastic. Very well deserved. It's a shame it took that long. It should have been done way earlier than that.
Well, after the war, they just sent us home, and that was the end of it, you know. And in fact, they sealed our records from that until 1979, when they had to open them up again and decide that we should have been part of the service and part of the.
Well, I'm excited that it took a while, but it was done, and it was rightfully so.
And then it wasn't until 2010 that we got the Congressional Gold Medal.
And is that what I see over there?
Yes.
That's what we see right here, joining us on the desk. That is the medal that she received. So this is extremely exciting for me. What I would like to do is share, I know you brought us some pictures, and I'd love for you to share those that mean the most to you so that our listeners can, and our audience could see them.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about them. So, I'll pull it out. This one here?
Yes.
Okay, talk to us while I'm showing it.
Well, that is a picture that when I first started flying, and a group of an organization in New Jersey called the Army Air Force Historical Society decided to write a story on me. And they came and interviewed me and took my pictures and used that as their cover.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
and I have to flip this over because look at her, she's beautiful.
well, that's my graduation picture.
She is absolutely lovely.
So, as you
what
can
a
see,
blessing.
I'm pretty happy about earning my wings.
Yes, a dream come true. The dream come true. And I'd like them to see a plane you flew.
Oh, well, that isn't it. There's 3 different planes that we flew. This was our primary trainer.
Okay.
That was a PT-17.
I'm going to bring it forward so that I can see it better, okay? All right. Very nice.
Now we flip this over, and this is the BT-13. That was our instrument flying plane. We use that for instrument work.
Very nice.
And then this was our advanced trainer. That's the AT-6. And that was the one that most of the girls flew even after they graduated from the WASP. And then from there they went into fighters. And then from there into the multi-engine.
Well, I was told by somebody that whispered in my ear, they said, make sure she tells you the story about the maps. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes. Before we graduated, we had to make the cross-country flight. And our flight was from Sweetwater, Texas to El Paso, Texas. And it was in the open cockpit airplane, BT-17. And beforehand, you have to plot out your course and everything the night before and have all your information. So on my way over there to El Paso, I was trying to change the map so I could see where I was going.
Yes.
And the wind took my maps and flew out of the cockpit.
What did you do?
Well, fortunately, I studied the map enough to know that I would have to be at a certain place at a certain time, and then also to look for the Rio Grande River. And then from the Rio Grande River, you fly up the river, it takes you right to El Paso. So I'm looking for a river that looks like the Hudson River. But out there in Texas at that time of year, it was just a little bitty stream. So I thought, oh dear, is this it or isn't it? And I thought, well, the time says I'm supposed to be there, so I better go by my time. So I flew up the river, got to El Paso, and when I landed, I had to get new maps to get back home.
Oh my! Yeah, a true pilot. She followed her instinct. Good message for us. Thank you for sharing that. I would like to also ask you, we're really excited about your career. Tell us about after. Tell us about your life a little bit.
Well, after I graduated, I came home and I still wanted to fly. So I got my instructor's rating, and I was able to get a job at a seaplane base.
Nice.
And on the Hackensack River in New Jersey. And there was about 5 bases all along the Hackensack River. And after the war, as the men were coming back from overseas, they, under the GI Bill, they could get their private, commercial, instrument ratings. And so all the schools in that area were very, very busy. So I was fortunate enough to get a job at one of the seaplane bases.
That is really nice.
And I was instructing there.
Very nice. Is there an admonishment you'd like to share for us ladies, for us younger generation?
Like what?
Maybe you are an inspiration as far as pursuing our dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were focused, so you are an inspiration. If you had someone sitting in front of you and saying, you know, what would you say to me? I have these things I'd like to do. What would you say to that person?
Well, I'd like to continue flying.
True pilot at heart.
Which I did because in 1945, I joined the 99s, which is an all-women pilots organization that was started by Amelia Earhart. And she was the first president. And they named it 99s because 99 women joined it. They were the first ones to join. And there was quite a few more women pilots, but that's what, and so they tried to change it a couple of times because they said, well, it doesn't really mean anything about aviation, but they said, no, Amelia wanted that name, so we're going to keep that name.
Okay.
And so in 1945, I joined them, and in 1960, through the 99s, which was conducting an all-women's transcontinental air race, another member of the 99s and I, Selma Cronin, flew from Teterboro, New Jersey in her airplane, Cessna 172, all the way out to California, to Torrance, California, to start the race. And Bendix Aviation Corporation, which I worked for at that time, sponsored us.
Terrific.
So they paid all the bills.
Oh, and I keep using the word wow because I'm so in awe. This is really exciting.
And then, of course, when we started the race in Torrance, California, then we had 4.5 days to get back to Wilmington, Delaware, for the end of the race. And there was over 76 airplanes in the race, women, all women. And almost everyone, there's some pictures in there of Selma and I in the race. And we used to, a lot of the girls would dress alike. You know, so we had some pretty nice little outfits. More.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I get to see all of these.
Okay, that's the airplane.
Let's share this with you.
Okay.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. That was, I would imagine, very exciting. It must have been exhilarating.
Well, there's one other picture I'd like to share for the race. I love this one picture where all my little nieces and nephews came to greet me.
Beautiful.
This is it's at the end of the race.
Oh.
Okay.
That's fantastic. What beautiful memories.
And this is one of them here. Oh no.
No, I was
No, that's your mother. Your mother.
She's seen a few generations.
I'm down the line.
This is her mother.
Aw, that is beautiful. Well, your life has most certainly been an exciting one.
Oh, I know. I enjoyed every minute of it. But I'm still going to all the reunions for the WASP. Every year now, lately, they've been having reunions at the WASP Museum out in Sweetwater, Texas. And
Nice.
they're keeping the history going.
Yes.
And so for the last 3 years, I've been going out there.
Oh, that is exciting.
Mhm.
That is really good.
And there's not too many of us left. In my class, it's only a few left, but out of the 1,078 that graduated and went on to serve, I would say there's less than 200 left.
Wow.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm one
we
of
are
them.
very honored and privileged to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
We're very glad to have you. Now, I heard something about a Wright Brothers Award.
Oh, yes, just, I think it was 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, the Spruce Creek 99 women nominated me to get the Wright Brothers
Oh,
Award.
nice.
And it's for anyone who has been flying in for over 50 years. And
Very well.
so I was thrilled to get it.
I cannot imagine. I listen to you, I hear you, but just the thought of you up in the sky without maps is something to really, really marvel at.
Yes.
It's very exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else you would like us to know and leave us with?
Well, during the war,
Mhm.
before I went into WASP, is when I worked at General Motors in Trenton, New Jersey, and they changed it to Eastern Aircraft Division, to change the name, and they built the TBM Avenger bomber for,
Nice.
for this,
Uh-huh.
for the Navy. And they ran out of young men to come in to work, on the airplanes. And with my history of flying and knowing about an airplane and know enough not to walk into a propeller and so forth, so they hired me to come in there in the hangar and work as a mechanic. And I was thrilled to death because they gave us a chance. I would sit in the airplane and run it up, and take readings on the instruments and so forth. And we could go up on the test flights. Let us go up.
It kept you home. Your
Well,
feeling of an airplane and
Oh, yeah.
being in that surrounding, and that is fantastic. And did I hear that you were the first woman?
Yeah, well, I was the first woman there, and it worked out so well that they hired one for each team. It was like different teams. I worked with about 4 men. It was the team captain and a couple of men and myself, and then each team hired another woman. So that
That
she
is
could help.
fantastic. You hear that, ladies? We can open doors, That is exciting. My generation would say that is really cool.
And I was with them for about a year. In the meantime, I had applied for the WASP, and then when the WASP called me, I had to leave. But I really loved that job.
Oh, that is great. You've had some really fantastic experiences and seen some really strategic points in our history also. I mean, I'm sure I'd love to spend a little more time with you. And here, I know there's so much more that you could share with us. We're
Oh,
limited
yeah.
on the time, but I would look forward to that. I would love to, join you sometime, have a cup of coffee, and hear more.
Sure.
I am fascinated. I've been so excited to
Oh, I
be
have
able to
lots
spend this time
of
with you.
stories.
So maybe at some other time. Now, right before we depart, she has a beautiful medal on her chest. Tell us about that medal, and we'll end with that.
This is a miniature one of the gold medal that we received in Washington on March 10, in 2010. And all the girls
you so much. I appreciate you coming for the interview today. And thank you. Thank you for what you've done for us women. We are very grateful and we appreciate you. So once again, Aida Plontke and Kathleen Hilbrandt, I hope you enjoy this interview. Thank you. Just going over it real quick before. So,
You want to show?
Miss Kathleen, I understand that your grandniece has written a beautiful poem for you. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, I would. This was a poem written for me by my grandniece, Carolyn Farmer. It's a poem to my Aunt Kay. I'm just a girl who was born to fly, to lift off the earth and soar the sky. I've looked down to the birds and up to God's feet. I've spun, I've flipped, and through the clouds I zipped. I've felt freedom in its purest form. I earned my wings, my silver wings, and they are proudly worn. To you, I'm a hero, I paved the way. But to myself, I'm a girl who was born to fly, to lift off the earth and soar the sky. It was love at first flight. I'll never forget my first landing. The excitement, the anxiety, the rush, it was outstanding. Thank you for saluting me. Thank you for your praise and a Congressional Gold Medal. Wow, I don't even know what to say. I've lived my life to the fullest. I've followed my dreams. I've inspired many, unintentionally, but I'm just a girl who was born to fly, to lift off the earth and to soar the sky.
Let me share the picture from 1944, and she's in the very same
PT-13, 17, same airplane.
Same airplane in 2013, is that
Yes.
the picture? In 2013. So beautiful tribute to our beautiful silver wing lady. We honor and we love you. Thank you.
Thank you. You can have that.